G'day guys and welcome to this business management lesson. In today's lesson we're looking at key knowledge point 135. That is unit 1, area of study 3 and the fifth key knowledge point for this area of study. Today specifically we're looking at technological considerations and how these might impact on businesses and the ways in which businesses need to be planning for these sorts of technological considerations. This is the fourth key knowledge point from the first half of this area of study that deals specifically with factors from the macro business environment. And I'll remind you that the macro business environment describes stakeholders and factors that will have an impact on your business. That impact is going to be indirect. Any interactions they have with your business are going to be indirect. And your business is likely to have absolutely no control, although some businesses might have some control over factors from the macro environment. For example, with this key knowledge point, technological considerations. Well, largely we're talking about technological developments over time. Most businesses aren't going to have any impact on the global development of technology. Your local hairdresser, your local fish and chip shop, Coles, Woolies, Hoyts, Village Cinemas, unlikely to be doing anything within their business that it's going to influence technological developments globally. Then there are businesses like AMD, Intel, Nvidia, who their business might have some impact on global technological developments, but individually, none of them control the technological environment completely. As 5G was rolled out, we might look at 6G as the next form of mobile internet. Certainly no business has whole control or singular control over the implementation of new technologies like that. So that's how we can consider some control or impact over technological development as being an acceptable definition for macro environment. But generally speaking, most businesses will have absolutely no control over any of the forces from the macro environment. Now, when we're talking about technological issues, we can start with the concept of Moore's law. Which states that computing has and will continue to essentially double in its power every 2 years. And there's a handy little chart right above my head there that shows that this has been more or less true over the years. Certainly, there were some tech people from the tech world who happily declared in the years 2021 and 2022 that Moore's law was dead and it was no longer true. But other analysts have said that that's far more a reflection of the way that technological developments ground to a halt during COVID. That global pandemic was unprecedented and really put a hindrance on sort of research and development. And as markets have recovered, we have sort of seen a return to technological developments in line with the Moore's law philosophy or forecast that computing power is doubling approximately every 2 years. Now, when that's the case, if tech power is doubling every 2 years, that more or less tells us that tech is going to be improving and changing with such dramatic pace that new business opportunities are going to be created and new challenges are going to be created for businesses so rapidly that businesses can't afford to be lax or sort of blasé in their approach to managing or planning for tech developments. Consider simply this example, that in 1956, 5 megabytes of digital storage weighed several hundred kilograms and needed to be moved from place to place in a truck or in an aeroplane. And just 60-ish years later, you can hold 200,000 times more storage in a micro SD card. It's even smaller than the average fingertip. It really is extraordinary how far technology has come in just a short period of time, and we have to be prepared for technology to continue improving. Consider that 1956 to 2020 is not such a long time. There will be people alive in 2020 that were children, people not just alive in 2020, but managing businesses that might have been children or adolescents in 1956. People who have been conscious and following technology for its entire duration of this developmental period. And you have to consider that if you had ambitions to start your own business in 1956 and it was still going in 2020, that if you hadn't been really proactive with managing and keeping up with technological developments, at some stage your business would have been left behind, and certainly your competitors would have outperformed you as they embraced the opportunities that new technologies had presented them. So generally speaking, as far as this key knowledge point is concerned, what we want to do is make sure that you are prepared to talk about the need for businesses to be monitoring technology and technological developments, to be looking for the opportunities that these technological developments provide, and to be conscious of the challenges or threats these technological developments introduce, and ensuring that any business, no matter what kind of business it is taking steps to take advantage of those opportunities and to try and insulate themselves from the threats, or try and implement strategies to offset the threats. This is true of every single business. Most businesses will have a use for computers and for the internet, for printers, for scanners, for security cameras, all those sorts of things. Wi-Fi enabled cameras are going to have uses in many businesses, if not all businesses. But even if you try and think of an example of a business that specifically doesn't use technology, perhaps your mind goes to the sort of traditional carpenter who makes a point of making chairs and canoes using hand tools just as they would have been done 100 years ago or even more. These businesses are eschewing or turning away from modern technologies as particularly part of developing a competitive advantage. Well, for these businesses, filming their practice and posting that footage to TikTok or to other social media is going to help spread the word about the business. It might allow the business operator to inform their viewers, perhaps even educate their viewers about more traditional woodworking methods. Just because their own processes don't involve technology, every business is going to be able to use modern technology to spread the word about their business, to develop a following, to market their product, whatever it is. And we have to consider, with this key knowledge point, we're not just talking about the developments in technologies that have occurred up to this point. We're talking about trying to plan for and be prepared to take advantage of, or rather to overcome the challenges that are presented by technologies that might be developed in the future. For example, you probably all are aware of Tesla. They make electric cars, and for a while now they've been experimenting with developing autopilot, or a fully autonomous self-driving system for these vehicles. And while these still seem to be very much in a sort of developmental phase, it's possible that soon, in the next couple to 5 to 10 to 20 years, this might be a reality. This technology might be ubiquitous, might be very widespread. It might be something you come to expect from your own family car, no matter what it is. And so we have to consider, how is that going to impact different industries? Just as an example, as a case study, certainly if self-driving vehicles become the norm, will there be any need for taxi drivers? Will Uber still exist? If your own car can drive you home, if it can come and pick you up and drive you home, will you ever have need for a driver service? Certainly for people engaged in industry like truck drivers, will they continue to have a job once automated driving or automated vehicles become more popular? And certainly if automation becomes much more popular on the road and eliminates human error from driver interactions, we can expect to see a decrease in the number of traffic accidents. There might be a decrease in the number of road fatalities. If there's a decrease in the number of traffic accidents, what impact will that have for car insurance companies? What impact will that have for panel beaters and mechanics? Certainly for tow trucks. You've got to consider that a technological development like this will have far-reaching implications for employees and business managers in a wide range of different businesses. And so that's one thing to think about. Certainly, autopilot self-driving is one example. We can look at emerging technologies like virtual reality. We know that the internet is just getting faster and faster with connections. 5G has really revolutionized the way we access the internet. There's no more clicking on a YouTube video and waiting for it to load before you can watch it, as was part of the experience for me when I was younger. But definitely, if we look to the future and think about 6G or 7G connectivity, will that have an impact on mobile phone manufacturing? Instead of having a device with its own computational capabilities, will you just need a screen and a Wi-Fi connection that connects to some central server somewhere else? The implications for as of yet unreleased technologies are purely hypothetical, but if you practice some thought exercises, if you try and apply your own thinking to examples of technology and think about how that might impact businesses, you'll be much better prepared to read a case study and try and identify any areas in that case study that technology might have an impact, which is a skill that is likely to be assessed on assessment tasks for this area of study. So, in summary for this key knowledge point, we have seen technology develop at an astonishing rate up to this point in history. Every time technology is developed, every development represents both opportunities and threats for all sorts of employees and managers and entrepreneurs and business owners. Businesses that are well positioned to take advantage of opportunities as they come up will find that these opportunities might lead to things like improvements in efficiency and effectiveness or competitiveness in the market. Businesses that don't adapt to these technological developments might quickly find themselves falling behind and losing out to businesses that were able to take advantage of those opportunities. So it's important that you are prepared, that you are prepared, no matter what the case study is, to present different potential impacts of technological developments, or certainly as you read a case study, to be trying to identify different impacts that technological developments can have. That's all for today. See you next time.